Okay, so in this video we're going to be talking about the laws of logarithms, and these are really important rules for logarithms, and these are the three main ones. So the first one is typically called the law of multiplication, because if we want to have the logarithm of two numbers that we've multiplied, we can express that as a sum of two logarithms. So let's look at an example with numbers. If I want to work out the logarithm of base 3, let's say 6 times 7, then we can express the multiplication inside as just the sum of two logarithms. So I can write this as logarithm of base 3 of 6 plus logarithm of base 3 of 7. So we split the 6 times 7 as 6 here and a 7 here. Now one important thing to note is that the base, the 3 here, has to be the same for each logarithm. So when we apply any of these rules, they're always to the same base. So that's the first one, the law of multiplication. The second one is typically called the law of division, and this is because if we have the log base a of x divided by y, we can write that as the difference of two logarithms. So log of a of x minus log of a of y. And what's nice is we can also use this backwards. So if we have two logarithms subtracted from each other, we can express that as a division. So let's look at an example. If we have logarithm to the base 2 of 15 minus log to the base 2 of 3, then we can use the law of division, where we've got a subtraction here. So this is now equal to log base 2 again, same base, but 15 divided by 3. So I've brought the two numbers inside to one logarithm and I've divided them. And 15 divided by 3, well, we can simplify that again. This is just log base 2 of 5. So that's a nice way to use this law of division. And now let's look at the last one. This is typically called the power law, the power rule, because in here we have logarithm of base a of x to the power of k. And this law tells us that we can just bring the power outside the front. So log of x to the power of k, this is the same as k times log of x. So let's look at an example. If we have 4 times log to the base 10 of a half, and now we're going to use this backwards. We're going to start on this side and we're going to get to the left hand side. So we have a number at the front times this logarithm. We can bring this number inside the logarithm and write it as log base 10 of a half to the power of 4. So the power here is essentially the same as having a number at the front. And that's a really nice property of logarithms. And then we can simplify this if we want. So this is the same as log to the base 10. Again, it's the same base. But now a half to the power of 4, this is a half, quarter, and eighth. This is 1/16. So we can write this as log 10 of 1 over 16. So that was the power rule, and now we've seen an example for each of these laws. I'm now going to wipe off the board and we're going to look at some more examples where we have to use laws at the same time. So it gets a bit trickier. So let's look at this example. We want to simplify this expression in terms of just one logarithm. So we have the sum of two logarithms and we've also got constants out the front. So we need to use a couple of these laws at the same time. First off, let's look at this logarithm. So we've got 2 times log base 12 of 3. And we can actually simplify this using the power rule, so this third rule here. And we can bring this constant, if this is k here, we can bring this inside and raise it to the power. So the first logarithm is the same as log base 12 of 3 to the power of 2. Just brought the 2 up into the power using this rule. And we can do the same for this logarithm because we've got a constant here. So this is plus log base 12, and now the 4 at the front comes inside. We have 2 to the power of 4. So before we move on, let's just simplify these. This is the same log base 12. 3 squared is the same as 9. So I'm not using any laws here, I'm just simplifying these numbers. And then 2 to the power of 4. 2 times 4, that's 8, 16. So 2 to the power of 4 is 16. And now as a last step, we can actually apply the multiplication law because we've got the sum of two logarithms and we want to get into one logarithm. So the way we do this, notice that we have the same base, so we can just apply it straight away. We've got 9 and we've got 16, and the way we combine it into one logarithm is we multiply these numbers. So just as in the first law, so 9 times 16. And 9 times 16, this comes out to be, you can use a calculator if you want, this is 144. So we've expressed it as one logarithm. We can actually go a bit further because 144, we can express this in terms of the base 12. So 144, if you remember, is actually 12 squared. It's 12 times 12. And so we now have a logarithm of base 12 applied to an exponent of base 12 again. So just by definition of log, it's the inverse of the exponential, and it's going to cancel out the base. And so this is going to come out to be just 2. It's going to be the power, which is quite a nice answer because we had all these messy logs at the start, but this actually comes out to be equal to 2. So we used the law of multiplication and we used the power law. We're going to look at one more example now where we need to use a few of them, but involving the division law as well. Okay, so this example is a bit trickier because we have a subtraction, we've got an addition, and we've got a constant at the front, so we're going to actually need to use all three laws at the same time. So first off, let's look at this first logarithm. We have a constant at the front, so we can use the power law to bring it inside. And it tells us that this is equal to log base 10 of 20 to the power of 2. That's just this first logarithm. And now if I write a minus here, from here, we can now simplify these two logarithms because we have an addition of logarithms, they're the same base. And we can use the multiplication law. It tells us that we can just multiply these two numbers. So this is log base 10 of 5 times 8. And now let's just simplify these numbers. So 20 squared, that's just 400. I'm not using any laws here, I'm just evaluating 20 squared as 400. The same here, 5 times 8, this is equal to 40. And now we can apply the division law. So we've got the subtraction of two logarithms, they're the same base. We can just write this as the division of these two numbers. So it's log base 10 of this number, 400, divided by the second one, 40. And this is very nice because this simplifies. So this is log base 10 of, well, 400 divided by 40, that's actually equal to 10. And so since 10 equals 10 to the power of 1, this tells us that logarithm of base 10 of 10, this is equal to 1. So this is our answer. So this video is really to give you some practice using these main laws of logarithms, and in the next video we're going to prove these main results.